Hello, everyone. This is Lavon McMillan, founder and CEO of Advocate for Me LLC, and you are listening to the Advocate for Me podcast. I am celebrating some amazing women for the month of March for Women's History Month. And I have another gem for y'all. I'm telling y'all, they are just coming and they're doing some powerful things in this city and in the community, helping our youth and helping our families. So today we have Sederia, and I'm going to allow her to share what she does for the community and tell them all about it, because I think you got businesses too with an S. It is on the end, just like Miss Judy. So please share with our listeners what you do and about your family and just whatever you want to share with them as your intro.
Sure. Awesome. Awesome. First, I just want to say thank you for having me on and for honoring the women that have come before me. It's truly an honor. But hi, everyone. I'm Sederia Brown. Madam TechKnow LLC is one of my first babies. It's my business, and I pretty much been helping older adults, small businesses, and nonprofit organizations for over 10 years with learning tools and best practices to achieve their goals. So I started that business again working with older adults, a lot of the senior population. And at first, it was just kind of a hobby. It was me, helping people from my church, my grandmother's friends, and then it just kind of became this business. I sent a proposal to Monterey Learning Tree back 10 years ago, and that was my first contract. And then next thing I know, I had over 12 contracts all over PA, New Jersey, Bucks County, Montgomery County, Delaware County. I was everywhere. Um, and I have two amazing boys. Uh, they are 7 and 12, and they're the love of my lives. And they have driven a lot of my success because when you have kids, they're looking to you to give them this guidance and this understanding about life. And I think the thing that I always wanted my kids to look at me and say is that no matter what she goes through, no matter what my mom goes through, she knows how to pick the pieces up and make it even better than the last time. So, I feel like every struggle has brought a different part out of me, a different gift out of me, I would say. But the purpose is all the same. Anything that I do, whether it's Madam Techno on the business side or Talk Hill Grow, which was is something that is personal to me because it's really just me talking and sharing my own testimony, my own story. Everybody has a story. Um, but it was just me being transparent with Facebook Live, and allowing them to see, what my struggles were, but also giving them an opportunity to understand that I have been able to take that, turn my pain into power, and that's what's in my bio because I feel like I have done that every time. My son was being bullied, and it what blossomed from that was the No Bullying Coalition, where I was able to, help and affect a lot of young people on bullying and suicide, which also led to me writing my first book, I'm Here, which is available on Amazon. And all of these things came out of a tough time in my life or a painful situation. And I've been able to help other people through those struggles, through those trials and tribulations. And I just look forward to continue to be a blessing as I launch my new business, which is my tea company, Steep Thoughts. Um, I'm excited about that because that is being birthed out of, the mental health that my mental health and the diagnosis and things that I struggle with in my personal life, and how my mental health can either be a challenge or it could actually excel me into, the next thing that I'm doing. And really just allowing this company to be a mind, body, and soul experience is not just teas, But it'll be all types of products to help you in your everyday life, but just using a more holistic approach to PMS or heart disease or arthritis or whatever it is, depression, anxiety. And so I'm excited about that. That'll be launching. I'm glad to say I just incorporated that this past week. So I'm excited about that. And so many other wonderful things I have done. Again, speaking at women's shelters, um, Levine, we've run into a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the same places, same events. Um, and I'm just that type of person that if I could help, if I could help you push on what you got going on and what your purpose is, I think that's important. I think it's important as women, as we celebrate Women's History Month, for us to support each other's visions and goals, especially if it's helping someone else, you know, whether it be special needs or whether it be the senior population. We both are doing work that is not easy. It's not something you wake up one day and say, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do with my life." You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
Advocate for me is out of our own personal experience and struggle, and you us decided to be vulnerable and share that with the world. You know, and not even
Mm-hmm.
just share it with the world,
Mm-hmm.
but help other people through those times.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. My thing definitely was I don't want nobody to go through what I went through.
exactly.
And that's why I was like, let me go out here and help them. Definitely. So I do know a little bit about your story. But share with our listeners because you just talked a little bit about bringing your pain into power. So it is Women's History Month, and women go through a lot, and whether we're a mom or whether we're just a single woman out here building a career, building a business, we always have that. I don't want to say that cliche of a strong woman, but I mean that's what they put on us. Um, like we can carry everything, and sometimes, like you were saying before, with mental health, and we may wear it well outside, and we're smiling and laughing it up with our family, friends, and networking. But then when we go inside, is to our homes or to our environments, it may be a little different. And I'm actually personally starting to share that part of my life on social media and on different platforms. But just share just a little bit about your testimony about bringing that, sharing that pain into power and bringing Talk Hill Grow into birthing it into existence.
Wow. Um, I think so. Part of my story is that Talk Hill Grow really was birthed at a time where, to the outside world, it was like this girl is on fire, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
but inside, I was healing. Because I had just went through a traumatic situation where I was in a domestic violence situation. Um, I was totally isolated from family and friends, and you know, I ended up, long story short, I ended up with nothing. Like, I was in a women against abuse shelter. I had to give my kids to their fathers, which I had never been away from my kids. It's been me and them. And it just was a lot. And then I was facing charges. So I was living in this women against abuse shelter, and you know I was told that there was a warrant out for my arrest while I am living in this woman against abuse shelter. And I just remember thinking, like, it can't get no worse than this. Like, this is the bottom, right? And I just remember going through that whole ordeal. Long story short, God was in it because, we went to court. and I had all these charges against me. I was facing some real charges, and God flipped it. And he used the judge. The judge was a woman. She was a Black woman, and she saw right through the mess and was like, I'm dropping all charges. Like, what? No.
Wow.
And I remember before I walked out of that courtroom, she said, sis, I can look at you and tell you that this is just this, you're gonna laugh at this later. Because like you're destined for greatness. And the fact that a judge, I
Wow.
don't even know this lady, I was in, this is like any woman that has gone through abuse, and then on top of that, it's been flipped, and she's made to now have to defend herself all while still trying to heal from that. That's a lot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And not having anything, and having to rebuild my life. That was a lot for me. So in 2018, you know, God was like rebuilding my life. I got a home. Work was going good. Kids were great. My family is back together. And then he said, go to work. And that go to work, it was now share your story. Because there's
Mm-hmm.
somebody
Mm-hmm.
else that was sitting on the edge of their bed and the woman against the abuse shelter that needs to hear, that needs to not only hear, but see you going through the process, see you healing, see you walking in your purpose, see you, all of that. Because a lot of times we not only, we as women, we smile out into the world and we go behind and we cry, but we also have this idea that nobody understands or nobody knows what we're going through. And a lot of the times that's because we are an open and vulnerable about those things that we go through, because we don't want nobody to see the muck. We don't want nobody to see the
Mm-hmm.
struggle. We want everybody to feel and to be comfortable in our success, to see that part of it. But we don't want them to see the other stuff. And for me, I want them to see the other stuff. I want you to know the other stuff, and I want you to see that you don't have to be this finished work to be able to go out there and make a difference.
Exactly.
Because as soon as
Exactly.
I started Talk Heal Grow, I'm going to tell you, Levine, it helped so many people. And not just women, but men. Because I was sharing things that people were like, oh wow, I'm really not alone. My DMs were crazy of people just sharing
Wow.
their story with me. Even to this day, people are like, you need to, walk more in that. But then that goes back to the mental health. People look at it as, oh, she fell off, she slowed down, but I'm still a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Mm-hmm.
still got to live life, and I still got to go through things, and I have, like I said, I deal with mental health. And so where in one season it can excel me, and another season it's like sit down.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
totally sits me down, and then I got to do what I need to do for me. And so it's learning how to continue that self-care, all while still trying to walk in that purpose and do that thing that God has told you or me to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing. It's no easy task, especially when you got kids and you're a single mom and you juggling multiple hats and you being obedient. Like you being obedient to God. You like, all right, God, you told me to do this. Like how I'm gonna do it. How I'm gonna juggle all this. And you start questioning, yourself. And then like you said, life happens. So you gotta take a step back and actually, see which way it is. It's like when life happens, you juggling everything, you building businesses, it's like a whole fog come over you. And it's like, well, which way do I go? And then, so I just want you to talk a little bit more about that self care because you brought it up, and that was going to be one of my questions. Um, just like, and you talked a little bit about the tea that you're coming out with. So just if you could talk about those two things, like one, what is it that you do for self-care? And then two, how would your Steep Thoughts tea start implementing women to help them with their self-care regimen?
So first thing for me, I think in terms of self-care is that um it's important for me to say no. And I know that sounds kind of like, oh, how is that self-care? But that's major for people that want to people
Yes.
please, that
Mm-hmm.
want to um that just don't know how, just that feels like everything is my responsibility. I'm supposed to fix
Mm-hmm.
everything, and that ain't my job, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not supposed to care about everybody's feelings. I can't do that all the time. That'll drive anyone insane. So for me, my self-care
Mm-hmm.
looks like saying no. My self-care also is doing something physical. So I can't be in the house with the curtains drawn all day. Like that's not good for me. So even if it's raining outside or whatever, I just like to step outside. So even if I take a walk or whatever, do something outside with my son, kick around the soccer ball, I have to get outside. Um
Mm-hmm.
Self-care for me is also, just sitting on the couch and drinking a cup of tea, right? Because self-care is anything that makes me feel good, right? And in a healthy way. Like, and so for me, the tea is special for me because that was the way that me and my grandmother would share, and like, we would sit on the couch or we would sit in the kitchen and we have a cup of tea and we would talk. And so that's even something that I have grown into my adulthood to love. Like I take a cup of tea and the warmth of it and the smell of it, all of that to me is self-care because like I love how I'm feeling in that moment. And that moment is not about the kids, it's not about the man, it's not about the job, it's not even about all of the purpose that even God put on you at that moment. It's about just sitting with you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, just to kind of segue into that is what Steep Thoughts is going to represent, you know, taking that time out of your day. Because with steeping comes a wait time, right? You gotta wait 3 to 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then that wait
Mm-hmm.
time, that is time for you to do some deep breathing. That is time for you to sit and read your favorite book, like whatever it is that makes you feel good, in the process of making this cup of tea and, just relaxing and unwinding and just turning everything off,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's not just going to be tea, it's going to be like body scrubs and just holistic, just mind, body, soul kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like even down to accessories. And Um, I'm even going to be introducing like some CBD products and some of those things because I want it to be something for everybody, because
Mm-hmm.
everybody's is not one size fits all. Everybody is different, right? So what your self-care looks like, what your needs are different. And so Steep Thoughts are just catered to whatever that is for you. And if and I want it to become something that if we don't offer it, we will offer it because that's a need of yours. And how can we
Mm-hmm.
holistically, cater to that need? For me, migraines are a big thing for me. So,
Mm-hmm.
I have a tea for that, and I love it. Instead of popping a pill, you know what I mean? Or whatever,
Yes.
because that's the society we're in, right? It's go to the drugstore, it's over the
Mm-hmm.
counter. I
Mm-hmm.
gotta go to the doctors. They give you a prescription, but that's putting money in their pockets. That's not good for your body. Because if you get a headache 3, 4 times a week, you popping a pill 3, 4 times a week. That's 3-4 times a week. Now we got 4 weeks in a month. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of medicine in your body. On top of that, we're not eating properly. We're not doing the things we need to do for ourselves properly. And that's why we're not living long. You get what I'm saying? And that's also why we're not happy. It's why we're not fulfilled, because we're not taking care of our temples. And so I think that's extremely important. Self-care is extremely important, especially for women, because like you said, we wear a lot of hats. We carry a lot. You know, we oh man, we're like incubators. Literally, right?
Yeah.
Literally. And eventually we gotta cleanse. We gotta just stop. You know, because, you know, I know it's cliche, but it's like, if you're no good, then everything else you're doing is going to falter somewhere. You got to get 100% to yourself first. It's even like in finance, like with you got to pay yourself first, right? You know what I mean? So if you got to pay yourself first, then you got to put you first. Self. What is it that I'm going to do for me today that's going to make me better in all those other tasks I done put on a list today? Like for myself, it might sound funny, but on my to-do list is literally like, I have to schedule in, like, I'll write, do something for yourself. Because it's almost like, if you don't see it, you know what I mean? Like with women in business, and you got this business, you got that business, you got the kids' business, you got your man's business, if you're married or whatever, you got to even schedule in the self-care. Like, take a bubble bath at 5 o'clock. You know?
Right. Look, I'll be scheduling mine in my head, like, all right, when I finish all this, I'm going to get right to the bathroom and get the tub.
And during that time, you got to say kids. And see, this is the other thing as parents, and I'm sure that, you know, you can even speak a lot on this. Like, we got to create boundaries, even with our children. And that's the problem. We as women don't have boundaries. So because we're not setting these boundaries for people in our lives, we are left just depleted.
Right. I'm about to say exhausted.
Right. You know what I mean? And so it's like, and it's almost like, for the listeners, like, you fill in the blank. Because it does something to but you know it doesn't make you feel good. You know, you like, now you out for weeks when you could have just been doing something every day to take care of yourself, because that goes a long way when you're a goer and you're a doer and you're a giver. You know what I mean? It's like, it can become, can become very not important. You know what I mean? And that's not good. And I actually got to a point like that. You know what I mean? And I had to take a step back and say, all right, what's really important? And so during that self-care time, it also allows you to reflect more clearly when you're taking care of yourself. It allows you to make better business choices and better company choices and better, you know, it allows you to love your children different because they see you taking care of you. You get what I'm saying? Especially if you have little girls and young men, because they see that who you are as a woman is who they'll probably marry. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and they'll respect those boundaries.
Exactly. So when they get a wife and she go take a bath and they not intruding every 5 seconds and being overbearing, like, I need, because they understand. I remember my mom took a bath. I ain't mess with her. I gave her a 45 minutes. You get what I'm saying?
She came back so much better.
So your self-care actually benefits everybody. It's crucial. It's crucial. So I'm learning that even now.
That's definitely true, because if you know, always use the analogy, you know, when you're on that airplane and they tell you to put your mask on first before you put it on anybody else, because if you don't, you pass out. Your kid, you can't even help your kids no more, like, because you ain't doing what they were supposed to do. You're supposed to take care of yourself. then take care of others. So definitely, I always say self-care is very important. And I know when my body is pretty much telling me that I need to start slowing down, because if I don't slow down, my
Right.
body will just shut down like completely. And I think I shared this with the listeners before. Like I'll be going and going and going and going. And the next thing I know, I'll be like, all right, y'all, I gotta go take a nap. And then the nap would turn into like 10 hours later. And then my kids looking at me like, what was for dinner, lunch? Like, what do we eat all day? And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, so I definitely have to do that self-care. Um, and now the kids are older now, so they kind of understand it. It was a little difficult when they was younger. Because like you said, they
Mm-hmm.
always needed something, especially with my son with his special health care needs. Like I had to, make sure he was getting his feed and make sure he was getting his medications. And until he got the nurse, she's been with us
Okay.
about 2 years now. I tease her like her first day that she came, that was the first time I slept all night in
Wow.
9 years. Like, like she was like, "What?" And I was like, "No, you just don't understand." Because he had to feed for like the
Yeah.
4 or 5 years
Oh,
by
wow.
the time she came. And then before that, he was a baby. Like he was always sick. We was in and out of CHOP. So I was like, that was the first time. I mean, even though his dad was there, but his dad pretty much was like chill and I'm going to bed, and who else going to do it but me? So I had to do it. And like I was like, she was like, you was snoring and everything. I was like, I have not slept straight in 9 years. And she was like, wow. So I was glad when she came on board, because that definitely was, and that was the other thing that you were saying, like to say no, because for me, I was taking on like a lot of things and I wasn't saying no. So I was doing things for my family, media family, things for the kids. So I wasn't getting, at church, singing on the choir, usher, like doing everything. And then I wasn't taking that time out for me. So thank you for sharing that with the listeners. I can't wait to taste the tea, because I know I told you the two
Yes.
things that I need. So I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
Yes, yes. And I suffer from migraines too. I don't think I put
I
that on my
got you.
list. So
I
you can
got
add
you.
that to the list.
We just gonna give you a sampler.
Yeah, just give me a, like when the certain like herbal sampling. Yeah, just give me everything. I'm gonna try everything out. Yes, because I'll probably need
That's
it.
right. You never know.
Yeah. So I know you mentioned grandma, and grandmas are so dear and sweet to my heart, because I know both of mine was dear and sweet to my heart. So my question is, what women in your life influenced you?
My grandmother, that was my, oh, when I tell you, I watched that woman get up. First of all, I grew up with my dad, and when my dad first got me when I was 2 years old, um, we were living with my grandmother. We were all in this apartment together, but it was like the best years of my life because it was my aunt, my grandmother, my dad. So lots of fun, right? And but my
Mm-hmm.
grandmom is a big part story of my life because my relationship with my father has always been rocky. He raised me. And so that was like my escape. That was my go-to, and I was the spoiled one, quote unquote, right? But I was the one that didn't mind being right.
You
But I
too.
was the one that didn't mind hanging with the old folk, right? because I because even then I knew
Mm-hmm.
there was some
Mm-hmm.
wisdom there, right? And I was always asking
Yes.
questions. I was
Yes.
always challenging things. And my dad's house, my dad wasn't having that. But my grandmom allowed me to be me. You know what I mean? And even when I fell short, she checked me, right? But with love. And but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, she took care of my great grandmother got sick, and I remember when she had to leave because she had to move in with my great grandmother and help take care of her because she had Alzheimer's, and it progressed pretty fast.
Okay.
And now it is, my grandmom is a full blown living nurse, the caregiver, and I watched her do that.
Mm-hmm.
Get up every day. She cooked breakfast, lunch, dinner. I mean, like she was just always cooking, always like upbeat, you know what I mean? Smiling, fussing at people, you know what I mean? But she was strong, you know what I mean? Like, and then was involved in things in church. But this was just a woman to me that just was like, wow, I wanna be this for my family. You get what I'm saying? Like, because for me, that's always been like, career is nice, but family, that's always what I wanted. And she gave me a really good example of that. You know what I mean? I know my fiance is like not sad at all because now I'm always in the kitchen cooking. So he liked that part of the story. But he
Yes,
benefits from that.
yes.
But you know, my grandmother, she was strong and she was a praying woman. I can't forget to mention that. And that was a really, her faith is what grounded her. And I just remember just holding on to that. And now, you know, prayer is a big part of my life, to the point where I've shared my intimate prayers on social media in regards to dear future husband. Those were prayers to God. Like that was me talking to Jesus, like, hey, you know, I would like, you know what I mean?
Right? You gotta spell it out
Like
so he know what to send you.
that was my way. But you know, prayer is a huge part of my life because of her. You know, and she passed away some years ago, and you know that's been a struggle for me because like that was like my superwoman. You know, that was my rock. You know, she raised me. You know, because when I think back to a lot of the qualities about me and even just how strong she was and just like how she can get through anything that's in me. I'm a fighter just like her, you know, and she ain't let nothing stop her. And that's me though. It's like, yeah, mental health, yeah, been abused, yeah, and that's that pain into power. You get what I'm saying? Like, cause she showed me that with her life. You know what I mean? Like she didn't allow what it looked like to stop her.
And that's one thing that you see a lot in like people on the outside looking in, they be like, well, how's she still going? Like how she like wait a minute, that would have dropped somebody to, to
I
anybody
tap
else would have
out.
been like, I ain't doing nothing else. I'm just chilling. Yeah, I can't move forward. But you keep going. Like how? Like that's that prayer and that faith that you're gonna push through and allow God to continue your journey. Because if you don't, then you just like giving up on what your purpose is. And I'm sorry, that was like on my heart. I had to say that, and I wasn't sure if you was even finished, but that was like it's a lot. So I'm gonna tease her real quick because she said that she be saying no. So I know now I'm in, I guess because you was talking about seasons, so I'm in the delegating season of getting helping. And that's hard for me. Really hard. But I want to thank you because you stepped on board and was like you would help me with my business with being a virtual assistant. And y'all, she good. She is awesome. She's so good. Like I'll be sitting there doing something else, and my social media pages be popping all over the place. I'm like, oh, go ahead. Okay, we scheduled right there. Okay, let me go like it. So she is amazing, and like I said, I'm in that whole delegating season. So the question is, and because I know me and you kind of the same, when it's our babies, we don't want, we don't want to let it go. But just like with our children, when they get to a certain age, we're like, all right, you a teenager, okay, you can get on the bus now by yourself. All right, I'll let you do this by yourself. All right, you could like recently I just showed Jada how to turn the stove. Now she's been baking, but I just showed her how to turn the stove on for her to cook on the stovetop. And so the whole time, like the last couple of weeks, I've been in meetings and Zoom meetings, and she want to fix something because she's good at cooking it once I turn the stove on. But I just never felt comfortable showing her. And so I was in this Zoom meeting. I'm teaching in the middle of the Zoom, and she like, "Mommy, I want to make me some hot dogs," and she all in the middle of the class, and I'm like, "Okay, when I finish click." And she like, "But I posed you," so I'm like, "Okay." So the next day, I taught her how to do it, and she did so well. And I was like, "What was you holding her back for?" And I'm
She
like,
could have been making
"Oh,
some
like
meals.
okay." So now she could have been making something because she actually is a good. She could bake some cakes now. She ate, but she could bake some cakes. I said, "You my grandma?" Like I be teasing her like, "Are you grandma? You done came back as grandma and
100%.
auntie all rolled up in one." Because she acts just like both of them. But so for me as a mom and a business owner, just delegating and allowing somebody else to take on those streams and move you to your next level, should I say. Yeah, that's what's on my spirit, next level. So again, I want to say thank you for taking on that position and helping me move forward, because
I get
I
it.
was trying to do everything. When I say
I get it.
everything. But I greatly appreciate you. But the question that I'm asking is, because we got a lot on our plate. So what things do you feel that you need to delegate or give reins to take you to the next level?
To be honest, I'm actually looking forward to delegating. Like I see that I'm gonna probably have to delegate soon, even with like the tea company and just like where I see it going. But for me to be great in the thing that I know how to be great in, I'm going to need some help in a lot of the other little back areas, similar to like you. Like you knew, like, all right, coming in, like, all
Mhm.
right, I'm going to need help in this specific area because this takes a lot of my time. And I know this is something that needs to kind of be consistent, but I can't do. So I actually am looking forward to that because I really am going to probably need somebody more so um, to do what I do for you. Because I want to spend my time on the creating part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, coming out with new
Mhm,
products and,
mhm.
and then there's going to be an aspect of it where we're going to have like tea talks. Um, and so that's going to bring more like
Okay.
Talk Hill Grow back, but but more steep thoughts. You know what I'm saying? And it's still going to be that same kind of
Mhm,
Talk Hill Grow
mhm.
feel, but it's going to be more geared to mind, body, and soul, and just holistically healing those things and holistically tending to those things. But having conversations with people that may struggle with arthritis or struggle with whatever they may be struggling with, conversations around mental health, because there is going to be an aspect of the business that I want to do a lot of outreach and things like that to different mental health organizations and things like that, donations and things like that. Like a percentage of proceeds go to an organization. Um, but no, I'm looking forward in the
Awesome.
leveling up, because I already know what God told me. And so
Mhm.
in the leveling up, I know that there's going to be a part that is going to be like, all right, you're going to need to hand this over to someone else in order to excel yourself and get to where you need to go. And it's not a bad thing, because even with that, you're still involved in a way because you got to pass the information along. You know what I mean? You're just not doing the actual
Mhm,
task,
mhm.
and
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you less of a
Mhm,
business owner.
mhm.
It actually makes you a smarter business owner, because it allows you to concentrate on the things
Exactly.
that you need to really concentrate. It frees you up to do more. You know what I mean? Whether that is introduce some or like to
Mhm,
bring more
mhm,
things in,
mhm.
then you can delegate. And so then you're not dealing with a small business no more. You're dealing with a corporation or an S Corp, or you get what I'm saying? And I think if more of us delegated, more of
Yeah.
us would be
Yeah.
further along. but we want to keep it all to ourselves.
Yeah, because that's what my mentor was like. Girl, you got to start giving some tasks to
But you
other
also
people.
got
And I
to
was
pay
like,
to
huh?
play too, and that
I
stops
was
a
like,
lot
I
of
don't
people. And that's why I
know.
love
Yes,
Madam Techno, because Madam
yes,
Techno
yes.
understands I'm a person, so I understand not everybody can do everything. But I also understand that aspect of,
Mm-hmm.
that population that's out there running businesses that aren't as tech savvy. They don't like it. They've done it because they got to do it to get along and to move forward a little. But that's not really their thing. And so if I could hire somebody to do
Mm-hmm.
that, and then the other part that I love about Madam Techno is that I'm not beating anybody over the head with all these large prices. If you're a small business, I understand that. So you don't have lots and lots of money. You know what I mean? Because a lot of that is just going back into the business. And so, I can't
Mm-hmm.
stand
Mm-hmm.
small businesses charging other small businesses these crazy prices. I understand you got to pay for your, you got to pay what you're worth. I'm not taking away from that. But realistically, if you're a small business, you're not looking to pay somebody $1,000 an hour. Just saying, just putting a number out there. You get what I'm saying? Or even 500 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even afford that. So then it's like you don't have no help. And now you running in circles. You just on the wheel and you still in the same place and it's 5 and 6 and 7 years.
Yeah, this was good. This is good. So normally the last question is always share what's on your heart to our listeners. And then after that, share how they can get in touch with you with any of the
Share what's on
business.
my heart. Well, because it's Women's History Month, I want to say specifically to the women, it's okay to not have it all together. You don't have to look a certain way for somebody. You don't have to be this perfect finished work of art. I think we have to learn to enjoy the process. And sometimes the process, there's a halt on the process. You know what I mean? It's not a stop. It's just a halt.
Mhm.
You might need to just reevaluate some things, move some pieces around. But I want us to get better at forgiving ourselves and letting go. Because when we harbor those things, when we feel like it has to be there's a perfect way, that's not life. I want you to become a little bit more adjustable, a little bit more flexible, because we already know as women, we are strong. Like we can handle some blows, But I want us to really just be more loving to ourselves and be more forgiving to ourselves, and to realize that because she's doing it this way or doing it that way, it doesn't take away from the brilliance and the amazing, innovative, creative, smart, talented, beautiful woman that you are. And I think if we begin to forgive ourselves and to really not feel like we have to be this perfect presentation, but just be our authentic selves, I think we will be able to link arms with other women a little bit more freely. Because in linking arms with other women, we become even more stronger. The impact is real. But we first have to tap into, none of us are perfect. No matter what the other person is presenting, we all are flawed. When we all close those doors, we all got demons. We all have things. But it's learning to let go of those things. That self-care comes into play, all of that, so that we can link arms and we can have more women conferences. We can have more where we have women speaking in different fields about different things. Because with your expertise may not be my expertise. But together, the impact can be larger. So that's what's on my heart. You guys can reach me at Madam TechKnow, which is MADAMTECHKNOW LLC on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can email me at technologyqueen2@gmail.com. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. That was powerful. That's why I was so quiet. I said, whoo, she's talking to me. Because like I shared before, I'm just starting to share, my pain journey with, Jordan's experience with his special health care needs and just what we've been through the last 2 or 3 years. Like every time I go to share it on Facebook, I'm like, should be sharing this again? And like we kind of came, like not kind of, but God got us through. He like, yeah, you gotta share it. It's a testimony. You gotta share it, and you're helping someone else know that they can get through too. So thank you so much for accepting the invitation for Women's History Month and sharing your story, your testimony. I said this with Miss Judy too. I'm so excited about 2021. Because, unfortunately what we went through last year, but it propelled us into like a whole nother realm of I don't even know how to describe it. I don't even know the word for it. Like God is just doing some amazing things right now. And no matter who I'm networking with or who I'm talking to, everybody had to push through 2020, but a lot of us pushed through to the next level where some of us might have got stuck. And I think the ones kind of sort of piggybacking off of what you just said, I think the ones that got pushed through to the next level, when they share their testimonies, they'll be able to pull up the ones that got stuck. So that's why I keep saying 2021 is going to be so powerful. Even though in Philly we don't know, what we doing, because 1 minute we lifting restrictions, next minute we not. But even being able to do everything virtually, that gave us an opportunity to meet women outside of Philadelphia and outside of Pennsylvania. So I'm enjoying that we're able to network outside of our, tri-state area, should I say? Because we always be like PA, Delaware, Jersey, but we, like I'm interacting with people in Georgia and Florida. So thank you again for sharing. And everyone, to our listeners, again, you can reach Advocate for Me, LLC, on Facebook, Instagram. On Instagram, we're Advocate for Me _L McMillan. On Facebook, we are Advocate for Me LLC. And on LinkedIn, it's LaVon McMillan. And you can visit our website at www.lmadvocateforme.com. I think that's about it. Like, Sederia gonna be posting stuff up so y'all can see it for both of our businesses. But yeah, I'm just excited to be actually working with you. Me and you, like you said, we meet each other on the platforms and like, hey, how you doing? And we kind of just move from there. Like every time we see each other, we, encouraging each other. So definitely keep doing what you're doing. I'm always here if you need, a lending hand.
Same
so
here.
whatever you need me to do, just let me know. And I'll definitely be there to support you. I totally know that we'll be pulling each other up to the next level and sharing both our businesses with the world. So enjoy the rest of your day. And to our listeners, we have one more great gem coming up to you next. So stay tuned for our Women's History Month. Enjoy. Peace and blessings.